My name is Elizabeth Merritt.
My name is Nora Jane Gray.
I'm Madison Shepka.
My name is Andrew Wilkins.
My name is Stuart Watson.
My name is Lily Ibsen.
I'm Amelia Ousley.
I'm Dr. Morgan, and I taught the course in coral reef ecology. And this course was really where the ocean was our classroom. This is taught on the island of Roatan, which is part of the Bay Islands in the country of Honduras. The Roatan reefs are part of the Mesoamerican reef system, which is the second largest reef system in the world behind the Great Barrier Reef. And prior to our departure, one of the things we did is we spent a week kind of intensively reviewing various elements of coral reef ecology. We wanted to have some idea of what was happening before we got down there. That was the purpose of that week in advance. In order for the students to be part of this course, I required that they all be certified in scuba certification. Once we were down there, we worked with a diving coordinator at the Roatan Institute of Marine Sciences, and all of our diving was associated with the property of the Anthony's Key Resort. While we were there, the students had the opportunity to explore different parts of the coral reef ecosystem. They had an opportunity to be part of a coral reef restoration project. They had an opportunity to visit a wildlife sanctuary. They had an opportunity to snorkel in mangroves. They had an opportunity to dive at night. They had an opportunity to dive on a shipwreck. They had opportunities to swim with dolphins and opportunities to dive with sharks. And by the time the course was done, actually before the course even started, I told the students, I said, this course will be the big wow. This will be the course that other students and family will all wish they had had the opportunity to participate in.
So the shark dive was super cool. We got to go down and we were kind of against this giant coral rock, and there was about 15 sharks just circling us. And they kind of started out more spread out, and then they got closer and closer the more longer we were down there, the more comfortable they got. And that was really neat. A shark may or may not have brushed my outstretched hand, so that was really cool. Felt like sandpaper. And then Dr. Morgan pulled my fin, and I thought a shark was attacking me and that I was gonna die. And then when we were going up to the boat, I heard Andrew scream, and he's pointing, and there was just a giant manta ray. So yeah, super neat.
So my experience with diving with sharks was probably my favorite dive on the whole trip. The nerves going out there were definitely higher because it was way farther off the coast than the rest of our dives were. And there was also a lot of current out there, so we had to, it was like rappelling down a line. There was a rope so we wouldn't get washed away by the current, because if I remember right, it was about 80 feet deep, 70 feet, somewhere around there. And as you're going down, you have the dive masters with the bait that we were gonna watch the sharks get fed with, and you're just going down and you're like, I see the sharks down there and we have bait with us, this is scary. But as soon as we got down there and we watched them do their thing, it wasn't that bad, especially after swimming with them for a good amount of time. Dr. Morgan actually mentioned not to touch them, but no guarantee that everyone paid attention to that rule. Also on the shark dive, I forgot to mention that we saw a manta ray, which was really a once-in-a-lifetime experience. It was absolutely huge. It was about the size of a car, and I was low enough on the tether line going up that I was able to see it when it swam by.
So for the Coral Reef Restoration Project, it was really amazing being a part of helping the coral reef be reestablished in the environment, and planting the baby corals, seeing them come from the trees in the nursery to then actually planting them on the reef, and working together in such a collaborative environment and seeing, okay, this is what it looks like when we just plant them, this is what they look like in the nursery, and this is even what they look like a couple years after they've been outplanted for 4 years. And it was incredible to see all of the fish and other inverts that benefited from planting them, and it was just really amazing.
Having the ocean as our lab was really impactful because, like as Dr. Morgan said, the first week of classes was at Berry, and we spent a lot of time talking about the different coral reef organisms and the ecology of coral reefs, and I had a lot of previous coursework in marine biology, so I was really familiar with the fishes and the invertebrates like coral or sponges or different shrimps and things like that. But getting out in the ocean, you can just really take a second to look around and say, oh, that's the fish I've been learning about. I know this fish. What is its behavior? What is it doing? And how does this fit into the overall big picture of the things I've been learning? So it's just really cool to see those organisms in real life in their environment, and to just see practically and physically the things that we had been talking about in lecture throughout my coursework at Berry.
I do coral research with Dr. Poole, so it was really interesting getting to see what we were studying in lab in the actual ocean, and just seeing the symbiotic relationship between the sea anemone that we study and then just the entire ecosystem in a whole. So it was wonderful just getting to experience the things that we learn on paper in real life. One of the best things we got to do was snorkel with the dolphins. So we got to do the normal see them do tricks, but then we got to put on our snorkel gear and actually swim alongside them in their enclosure. And I got this seashell, and I just kept throwing it and then going to pick it up, and eventually the dolphins would come over and they would play fetch with me, so I'd throw it and they'd bring it back, and we did that for so long. And then when we went to get out of the water, there was one particular dolphin that I was playing with. He had a scratch on his nose, and he came up to me and he was swimming around my legs, so I couldn't get out of the water. So it was just so neat. But we could go see them through the entire week. So all of us would go up to the dock and get seagrass and leaves, and we'd throw it, and the dolphins would bring it back and reach up so we could grab it and throw it again. So they were so sweet and so beautiful just to get to swim with them. And one time I dove down, and then just two of them swam by. So yeah, super duper cool.
So the biggest difference between the day dive and the night dive is just the difference in life, like Andrew said. With the night dives, you start out and it's light out, and then once you're 30 minutes-ish into the dive, you get all the different creatures that come out at night, like squid, the octopus, the lobsters, and things like that. So that was really just cool to see. But eventually, when it's completely pitch black and you turn off all of your lights, you can stir up the sand and you get bioluminescent creatures, which it was beautiful to see. It was like the northern lights underwater. And also with it being pitch black, if you turn off all your lights, then, Dr. Morgan might come up behind you and tug your fin, telling you to get up to the boat.
Doing the day snorkels and the night snorkels are very different because you have two completely different sets of animals that are out during the day and during the night. So when we went to do our night snorkel, all the animals that are normally hiding in the coral that you can't see, like your eels and your octopus and different kinds of fish, are all out. So on my night snorkel, my buddy and I got to see quite a few octopus, which was really cool. The octopus that we saw are probably a little different than the ones you might see in an aquarium, which are quite larger, but the ones that we saw in Roatan were very small, but they change colors really quickly, which is something that's really fun to watch. And then we also got to see them hunting their prey. So basically they see a little fish and they take their tentacles almost like a tent and jump over the fish and then use their beak to eat it, which is super interesting. And then we also saw lots of eels out and swimming, which you wouldn't normally see during the day.
So with traveling with a whole group as opposed to just my family outside the country, I'd never left the country in the first place. And so it was pretty scary, honestly, getting on a plane in the first place. I had to hold my dive buddy's hand, and I'm pretty sure she lost circulation, but that's okay. It's okay. She got it again. And it was nice being around a group of people that I felt safe with and that I knew I could rely on as I was navigating leaving the country for the first time. And Dr. Morgan was always there with any questions that I had. So as I had all these anxiety moments that I knew that I had a group of people who were oh, no, it's okay, it'll work out. So that was really nice.
Well, traveling as a class rather than just being a solo diver definitely helped me out. Right before you go on your trip, you definitely have some jitters and some nerves that, oh, what if something happens underwater? Something I learned pretty quickly, I would say honestly my second dive there, was that even though if I didn't have my dive buddy in arm's reach, that I was able to go up to anyone in my group and say, hey, I have a problem, and we would have figured it out. It doesn't just have to be my dive buddy that I go to for help. It could have been anyone. And if I saw anyone else in danger or needed help or anything like that, I was able to go up and help them. And it was just a big group that you knew that everyone was looking out for you and you were looking out for everyone everyone else, and that we all knew that we wanted to surface safely and be okay and have a good time, and so we all made sure that we all could do that equally.
During our free time, you could basically do whatever you want. You could go paddle boarding, kayaking, you can go tanning, you can go in the resort pool, but my favorite thing to do in my free time was horseback riding. They took us horseback riding along the beach side, and you could see the sunset going down and then like the water splashing up, and it was awesome. It was really fun.
So there was cool wildlife under the water, but on land there were these little guys called agoutis, and it's like a capybara mixed with a guinea pig. And they were all over the resort, and they were just these silly little things that had no survival instinct whatsoever, and you could just about catch them.
So one of my favorite activities is going out and catching little critters, and Dr. Morgan had a really, really great idea that we should go out and try and catch little hermit crabs on the key that's just across from the main island. And so there's basically two types of crabs that live on there, and there's like fiddler crabs, and there is the hermit crabs, and I collected probably like 50 hermit crabs and put them in a coconut shell and then gave them to them, and they had to deal with 50 crabs. It was really awesome.
Eating during the study abroad, we had a specific table that we would go to, so they were very accommodating. There also was not a language barrier. They mainly spoke English, and so that wasn't really something that we had issues with. I'm a Spanish minor, so it was great to be able to talk to the dining staff in Spanish, because it also not only helped me being on the study abroad for biology and animal science, but also I was able to also incorporate my Spanish into the trip, which was very useful for my learning in multiple different topics.
Okay, it was a great experience. The day that we go to the wildlife sanctuary, you start with lunch, and then you go to the Roatan Cultural Museum, where you learn about the indigenous history of Roatan, and then you can go walk around, you can snorkel, or you can see the animals. They have amazing animals: crocodiles, jaguars, parrots, iguanas, and specifically monkeys. I was trying to take a video of a monkey, and I put it too close to the cage, and he grabbed my phone and threw it on the ground, and I got my phone broken by a monkey. So, yeah.
The most unique species I saw was actually a grouper. It was a Nassau grouper, and her name is Lulu. It was on the shark dive, and she's very friendly, so she'd come up and let you pet her, and she was swimming next to me and let me pet her for quite a few minutes.
The animal that I saw was a nudibranch. Nudibranchs are very similar to sea slugs, but they're super brightly colored and frilly and ruffly, so they look very pretty. I was super excited to see one of these because I had been looking for it the whole trip, and they're actually quite tiny, so they can be hard to see. But I saw one that was like really pretty white with like red and yellow ruffles on it.
So the coolest species that I saw on the dives was the hawksbill sea turtle, which you don't really see these ever, so it was cool to see it up close, and the hawksbill sea turtle actually swam next to me for a couple of minutes.
So my favorite species that I saw a spotted eagle ray with my dive buddy Bethany, and we were just snorkeling actually, we weren't diving, and it was just a really special moment between the two of us.
So the coolest species I saw was a remora, which is actually a little fish that will stick to the bottom of sharks. But we actually had this one remora that was following us around during one dive trip, and it was actually sticking to us. Normally you see fish that want to kind of get away from you because you are different and unusual in that space. But this remora was just sticking to us and going from one person to another, and it was really cute, and I got a really good picture of it. And it was just a very friendly animal, which is very unexpected.
The coolest species I saw was the peacock mantis shrimp, and it was really camouflaged into the sand, so I barely saw it, but it was just sticking up with its little like pinchers ready to punch something, so they were really cool.
The most unusual animal that I saw was a sea spider. They're kind of creepy, but they're also kind of cute.